So in Rotherham, biggest story, or at least biggest incident of grooming gangs that everyone knows about internationally at this point, probably. So the Independent Office of Police Complaints issued a report in regards to Sammy Woodhouse. Now, I don't know all of Sammy Woodhouse's specific problems, but she's very famous. She's done a lot of media interviews. She's out there. Everyone can find out about her.
Right.
But when she was 14, she was in a foster care home, and a guy would come to the foster care home and just take her and other girls, and he would be known as the older boyfriend, is how the social workers referred to him.
And where did he take them?
Oh, you should use your imagination, because...
I don't really want to.
Yeah, well, she's a victim. Let's put it that way. So the complaint from her was, well, why did no one say anything? Why did no one do anything? I was being taken away and being abused. Yeah. So I'll read a quote from it. So South Yorkshire Police was aware that Hussain was raping Miss Woodhouse when she was 14, and that she was pregnant by him. It also knew that the rapist was in so-called relationships with other female minors of the foster care home.
Yeah. So
the foster care and the police knew that he was doing this.
Yeah.
No one said anything. No one reported anything. Gets worse.
Well, before we go on quickly, I can't remember whether it was the Rotherham or Rochdale cases, but the police write-ups would essentially, and they were directed by the Labour authorities, to treat these girls as if they'd made a lifestyle choice. These are, quote, lifestyle choice, and that the girls are to be essentially treated as if they are in consensual relationships with these much older men.
Ergo, the social workers saying she was the elder boyfriend.
Yes, and often treating them as if the girls are child prostitutes, which is a bit of a contradiction in terms, because you need to be an adult to be able to be a prostitute.
Yeah. I mean, prostitution actually is legal in the UK, but obviously not child prostitutes.
Because that's rape.
Yeah. So police documents from March 2000 revealed that, quote, Hussain has in the past had a number of relationships with young girls who are in foster care. He targets young, vulnerable women. So that's a police document saying that.
Women.
I
see, this is another reason why the definition of woman has to be something along the lines of adult human female, because then children can't be called women.
Yep.
But anyway.
This was a problem we actually saw in, I think it was Rochdale or something. There was a guy who was arrested because his brother had been involved. And then they were asking him, do you think your brother did it? And his response was along the lines of, well, if the women are wanting to get in and the women want to do that. And then it was a Labour MP who was being told, well, what about... Actually, no, it wasn't a Labour MP. It was Tommy Robinson telling a Labour activist that, we need to stop them raping our girls. And under her voice, you can hear on the hot mic going, women. It's like, what? No, it's not a woman. That's a young girl.
But if you want to let this carry on and you want to not rock the boat, then it's easier to pretend that they're actually, fully adult women who are making their own sensible life choices.
Yeah, that's the justification in these people's mind.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Other reports from later that month revealed that South Yorkshire Police had struck a deal with Hussain to hand over the child, who was missing from the home, to officers. Records show that the Pakistani heritage man was neither questioned nor arrested. So not only did they know he was going to this foster care home, taking people back, and obviously doing nefarious things, when they had a missing child report, they would contact him and say, "Hey, can you find this child for us and bring it to us so we can deal with this?" And he would just mysteriously find a child that's been missing, bring it back, and then the officers were like, "Thank you for your service," and let him go on his way.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it's not just the police corruption or incompetence of knowing something's going on and being like, "Oh, I'm not going to deal with that," or "Oh, it's the nonsense of thinking it's child prostitution," or elder boyfriends.
Yeah.
It's that they actively were in contact with the man to make sure that this story didn't get out, or at least
and facilitating his ability to continue doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's unbelievable, complicity in this.
So there is some good news in this, in that Sammy she came forward in 2013, and Hussain was arrested, and he's been charged. I think it was 2016 he was charged. He was sentenced to 35 years in jail for 23 offences against 9 girls. So that won't be the totality of his crimes, but at least he got 35 years in prison. So.
But I mean, imagine what he must have been thinking as he was doing all of this. It's like they're just going to let me take these kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing from the Pakistani heritage statement that he comes from a Pakistani culture.
Yeah.
And then he's probably thinking he identifies as Pakistani British, or maybe just Pakistani, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he would have been experiencing British culture, or at least the British legal system, as one that just lets you do this and even facilitates you doing it and doesn't ask questions.
And I don't think this would have happened had it been a white English person, for a start.
No, you'd say he's a wrong'un.
Well, obviously,
and be like, get the police and
the cops would the cops would arrest him. I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind. It wouldn't be elder boyfriend classification, and I'm absolutely certain that that he would have been aware of something like that too. Because I don't think that the people doing this are stupid. I think they're deeply immoral. I don't think that they don't know that they can see that they're just going to let us get away with this.
I don't know. I mentioned last time the documentary This Is What Winning Looks Like in Afghanistan, where they're looking at the more rural areas and backwards parts of Afghanistan. Yeah. And one of the problems they had with training the local police to be police officers was that they would... This is an old practice, apparently, where the local police officers, if they wanted to, they would just go out into the town, steal young boys. Yeah. Don't know why boys, but they would take them back to the police station and keep them as T-boys.
Yeah, it's well known.
Yeah, so this is the police. This isn't just randos like this guy. So it was culturally accepted, at least in that part of Afghanistan, that you could just go and steal boys as a police officer, keep him, and then abuse him. Yeah. And the Vice documentary filmmaker went with the American to the local commander, the guy who knows regional. And he's more higher up, so he has to be proper. Yeah. And they ask him, well, what do you think about this? We've got video evidence that's going on. They've admitted it. We've got the witness statements. And can we please go in 9 a.m. tomorrow, raid all these police stations and free the boys because they're slaves? Yeah. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe we can do this, do that. And they're arguing. And eventually...
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. What?
Should we free the slaves? Yeah, literally.
They're just children.
This is like 2015.
Yeah, this is awful.
Modern day attitude. Yeah. And eventually his response comes to, well, if they don't do it to the boys, who are they going to do it to? Their grandmothers? It's like, what the...
How about they just don't?
Yeah, this is the regional police commander. Yeah. And then, the Americans are shocked by this. They carry on arguing. And eventually I think he just gets bored. And he's like, fine, we'll do it. Like, great. And you can see this American who's been there for 10 years training these guys. And you can see how downtrodden he is for everything. Yeah. He's like, finally, a win. We can finally do something. Yeah. Next day, 9 a.m, he gets a phone call. Oh, we've cancelled it because of a meeting. And you just see the guy, and he's like, what am I doing with my life? I wasted 10 years here doing nothing. But that's Afghanistan, right? You might be thinking, but Pakistan's right next door. And the more rural parts in the north, I imagine, have a similar culture, or at least a similar history.
Well, they certainly do.
Yeah, so the fact that this guy, or that you get these attitudes from these communities, is not a surprise. But what is the surprise is the British police response. Yes. Because that's the part we can control and we should be expecting to do properly, which they didn't and are still not. Yes. Anyway, let's go on to the last bit here. So that's the Sammy Woodhouse case. So we have more evidence of the police doing nothing. Yeah. Or at least actively helping them. So the grooming gang report, which we've all been very happy about, at least we're getting that,
So, but remind everyone what it is.
So I believe it started with a petition or something.
It did.
So it got 100,000 signatures.
John Wong's petition.
Yes, Johnny started it. His name's been scrubbed, actually.
Your name's... Has it?
Yeah, so on every parliamentary petition you go on, you get the name of the author. Yeah. Perfectly standard. If you go to the one with 100,000, his name's not there.
Really?
Last time we checked, it's gone. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So I don't know what that's about.
John, you got on person, mate.
No, mate. Racism.
Yeah, literally. Anyway.
John's from Hong Kong, just in case you didn't know.
But so that got done, and the government agreed, fine, we will do a full report, independent, into all the grooming gang issues.
It was Sajid Javid's report. Yeah, Sajid Javid, for anyone who doesn't know, has been very firm on the issue of the grooming gangs. His rhetoric and what appeared to be actions as well seemed to all match essentially the sort of Tommy Robinson position on it. This has to stop. There can't be any stone left unturned. Political correctness can't be a factor in determining what the characteristics of these gangs are and why they're doing it. And everyone was thinking, great, we might actually get some real answers now. But what's the report
what a radical position, right?
Yeah, we might get to learn the truth. Yeah, the alternative facts of the situation, as it might be.
So he got kicked out. Because I think he got made Chancellor and then it got changed for Priti Patel in charge.
No, it was Rishi Sunak.
Oh, sorry. No, he was moved on to Chancellor and then Rishi Sunak replaced him there. Yeah. So Priti Patel's in the position of being the one in charge of this. So any complaints are to be labelled at her now because Sajid Javid laid the groundwork. Yeah. So they're doing the report and there was another petition set up. I don't know why they let this one through because usually they take down duplicates. And this what 10,000, so it got a government response. So it doesn't have a full debate in Parliament, but it gets a little bit of writing. And the writing in there was interesting because it's mostly waffle, but this part's good. This investigation is focusing on 6 separate geographical areas: St Helens, Tower Hamlets, Swansea, Durham, Bristol and Warwickshire. You'll notice...
Now, the thing that jumps out at me with that list is that these are places that are generally not associated with Islamic grooming gangs. Not exactly the problem areas where I would say something like Telford, Rotherham, Rochdale. Was Halifax one? Halifax was quite a significant one.
Yeah, Halifax had one.
Yeah, Hull or any Sheffield. In fact, there
Oxford. We could keep going. But...
Oh, Helen Dale shouted out the Lotus on Talk Radio this morning. Thank you very much, Helen. When the website's up, you guys will be able to check it out. But Helen's got a great piece up there, by the way, which, like I said, when it's all ready, I'll be putting out on various social media outlets. But anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so it's naming places which are not the famous ones, the big ones, or the ones that have the demographics which people are interested in.
Yes, and the ones that we've just listed are very heavily documented.
Yep.
There's Sheffield, Rochdale, Rotherham, Telford.
Telford and Rotherham are the 2 best examples.
Yeah.
Because not only do we have the long documentation, we also have the numbers.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in Manchester there was a Muslim police officer who was also arrested for raping a child.
I believe he was arrested for lying about it or something like that.
No, but he
was.
The allegation was that he had taken part.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there's video of him in hey kids, we're all, I'm a friendly police officer, and then later
hanging
on,
out of primary schools.
Yeah, it's pretty sus.
Anyway, so that's what the report will be based on. Which, of course, why on earth would you exclude all of the places where people have been talking about and wanted the investigation to also include? I think it was Hugo who said, it's like having a report looking at poverty in the UK and then saying, oh, we're only going to survey Surrey.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah. We did Surrey, some parts of London.
Yeah, like an equivalent for the US would be like Los Angeles.
Yeah,
like
we did Beverly Hills, we did, Manhattan.
And everyone seems rich. There's no problem at all.
Yeah, exactly. There's no problem with poverty in the US. Manhattan's booming. What are you talking about? Like...
Alabama must be just as well off.
Yeah, exactly. Appalachia is just, it's opulent. But you're exactly right. The fact that it is deliberately leaving out these most glaring omissions seems that this is an attempt by the Conservatives to sweep this under the rug, in my opinion. What do you reckon?
I reckon you're probably right. Breitbart did offer an explanation. It's only a couple of lines, but that blah, 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 blah is going to be included in these places, but not these places. And the reason was because these places that we mentioned, the big ones, were of a historic nature.
Right. Which ones were the ones we mentioned?
Yeah, Rochdale, Rotherham, Manchester, Oxford, Telford are historic nature. Right. Therefore, they're not to be included. Why? That's where the reasoning ends. Which...
Okay, well, there's a couple of assumptions there. One, that it's not still going on, which I think it probably is. And 2...
There were arrests this January in Manchester.
Well, there we go. And 2, the term historic is doing a lot of heavy lifting here because it's not like it's outside of living memory or something. We're talking about 10 or 15 years. So historic is, being stretched quite a great deal here. And 3, even if it is historic, so what?
That's the point of the independent inquiry, is to look at this long-running thing that's been going on and determine what caused it and what factors are at play.
Oh, these are historic, so we don't need to worry about them. Well, all of those people are still out there. The victims are still out there. All of the evidence is there, and it's still going on. Yeah. Why?
It's like I'm going to do a study on, I don't know, the history of Britain, but anything before 1995 or something, that's
the history of Britain doesn't start before 95, Yeah.
Anyway,
so not very encouraging then.
No, so this report might end up being completely useless. So just warning people ahead of time, which I didn't want to hear. No one wants to hear, but that's what it is. So sorry, that's the news.
What was the date they were going to release it as well?
I don't think they've released one yet.
I thought they said something like early December.
I haven't seen one.
Right.
So it's probably still.
I must have dreamt that.
Oh wait, no, I know what you're talking about. They said they're hoping for December.
Right.
But it's not confirmed.
Who knows? Right.
Yeah, there's also one more quote here. So Maggie Oliver, I believe she's a Manchester whistleblower, so she has done a lot of media interviews, everything. You can Google Maggie Oliver.
Yeah, I'm familiar with her.
And you'll find her. So she was a police detective who blew the whistle on the Rochdale grooming gang, condemned the inquiry into sexual abuse, for its decision and revealed that 2/3 of her witness statements to the police had been deleted. As in, for this inquiry, here's a bunch of witness statements, 2/3 of them just deleted because they're not in the areas we're looking.
Who needs to know about those?
Yeah.
I mean, if Maggie Oliver wants to send us the witness statements, we're happy to read through them and see what she says.
Yeah, why not? Publish them, why not?
Yeah.
These are the witness statements.
tips@lotuseaters.com. The emails are actually working. So you could send us an email if you want, Maggie, and we're happy to take a look and see what you've got to say, because I think this is important information that the public should know, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely true. There's not really anything else to say there, but it's just, more evidence of the failures and the fact that this report, which we're all hoping for, would be at least I don't want to say the word closure, because closure never really does anything. But a conclusion to the saga.
A validation. The problem is real. Because for years the problem was denied. Tommy Robinson was completely mocked as if this was ridiculous. How could you suggest this? And then suddenly it all started coming out that actually, oh God, this looks really bad.
Yeah. And not just Tommy, let's be fair. A lot of people spoke about this. Tommy
Yeah.
was just a big media guy at the time who got a lot of headlines. But was doing the good, he was doing good work. He was getting the message out. Because I remember when I was young thinking that it's got to be false.
Yeah.
There's no way this is true.
Can't be.
But
it's cruel.
Yeah.
It's inhumane. And on an industrial scale of child rape gangs operating across the country, networks of them trafficking children around to be raped and prostituted, and the police are in some way complicit.
A factual statement by the standards of the Independent Police Complaints Commission. So it's great. Anyway, bit of a black pill, not much of a Lotus pill, but it's the news. So
I'm afraid that is the case. We feel bound to report these things as we find them. There's very little good news these days, but we honestly, I don't have any good news really. But
we should start. I wonder if we should do this. Someone mentioned should we start trying to find a good story to end everything with?
Maybe.
Because I know the BBC did this for a little while with the local stations. They'd always have, and a dog was rescued today or something like that.
That sounds good. We'll take that.
But to be honest, when we're dealing with such dark subjects, I don't think a dog being rescued kind of makes up for it. So
it's definitely something though.
Yeah.
So what about the president of Turkmenistan putting a statue up of his dog? Making everyone salute it. That's a happy story.
Yeah, that's funny.
Who's not going to salute a statue of a good boy?
So look up President of Turkmenistan on Twitter's probably best.
Yeah.
And you'll get a video of just like his men saluting this dog and playing it a song, and it's just a statue of his favorite dog.
But why wouldn't you? Who's going to say I'm not saluting a statue of a good dog? Everyone can salute that statue.
Good boy.
Yeah.